Welcome to the Perspective Podcast, where we embrace open dialogue from different perspectives about entrepreneurship, relationships, and education.
And this open dialogue is needed, especially today, as we live in a Twitter finger society where everyone seems to care more about getting their point across than they are about hearing the other person's perspective.
If you're ready to grow your business, your relationships, and your personal development, stick with us here at the Perspective Podcast, because sometimes in life, to get to the next level, you just need a different perspective.
If I look like what I've been through, I'd be roadkill. Tell me off of the pavement, I'm reeking from the...
All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Perspective Podcast. I'm your host, C. Muzan. I got T here with me. Say what's up, T.
What's going on, family?
Hope everybody's doing well. So excited to be back with you guys. This is, again, always a fun time, sharing our perspective, getting a chance, me and T, to have some conversations and catch up on important things in our lives and what's happening. We just get a chance to share it with you.
We're just roping y'all in.
That's it. That's it. Right? We're just roping you guys in. So hopefully you're taking it in. Hopefully you're sharing your perspective with people around you and with us. Because again, this is what we do it for, right? It's not about right or wrong. It's just about understanding people's perspective. It's what allows you to grow and learn and change and all the good things that you need to do in life come after you can have a different perspective on something. So
absolutely.
Again, we're here another week. This again, we were chatting on this offline, and we decided to dive right in to this conversation specifically around vision, this word vision. We've been talking a lot about mindset things and right, a lot of the even business things or political things that are happening. But a lot of times, really, when we're talking about our lives or other people's lives or whatever the case is, a lot of it comes down to clarity of where you're going, clarity of vision. And this is in every area of your life, right? And this is not just in, how much money you want to make, even though that's one place for it, right? Your financial life. But this could also be the vision you have of your marriage or of relationships, the vision that you have of your health, the vision you have of your spiritual life, whatever. But just literally having clarity on what's up ahead and where you want to go. Right now, everyone knows I'm in the financial services space, right? So this is what I do on a daily basis. I often say I get the privilege of sitting down with people and lifting up the hood under their financial life, right? Where most people just look at the outside and say, oh, that person's doing well. Oh, that person has a car. Oh, they have a nice job. Oh, I see them on social media, whatever, right? People see that externally. Me and my wife, we get a chance to really dive in and say, no, but what's really happening in here? And this is a quick story I'll share with you guys, and then we'll dive into more of this vision topic, because T, I want to hear kind of your perspective and what you think about it. But around the money space, one of the things I hear a lot, and for those of you that are listening, this may resonate with you. I hear the phrases a lot that I have a spending problem, or I'm not good with my money. I'm not good with saving money, or right, I have a shopping problem. I have an Amazon problem. People often call their financial failure, so to speak, their financial, right, areas that they don't like. They call them, they say that they're not good at that thing. They're bad at that, right? And what I've come to learn, and I've been sharing this with a lot of the people that we've been talking to, it's really a way to help you get this perspective on what's actually happening. Because money is just an energy. Money is just a tool. It's just something. So typically it's not good or bad.
No.
How we use it is not good or bad, right? Yeah. It's just, it is. But understanding that there's a scripture that says where there's no vision, people perish, right? Where there's no vision, the people perish. In another translation of that scripture, it says where there's no vision, people cast off restraint. That's what they say. Where there's no vision, people cast off restraint. So I've given that scripture to a lot of people now that we're talking to that say they might have a financial problem or a spending problem. I often then just go straight to the point of, well, what's the vision? If you fast forward me out, if we're just talking about money, fast forward me out 10 years, how much money will you need to live the lifestyle you want up ahead? How do you want to retire? How much do you need for retirement?
Most people don't have that answer, bro.
They don't have that answer. How much? Here's another answer people don't have sometimes. When you have kids, hey, you want to pay for their college, or how much do you need for their education? That's even another question Parents don't know how to answer a lot of times. Like, I don't know what it'll be. So if all of the things that are up ahead, financially speaking right now, if all the things up ahead, we don't actually know how much we need for them or what the actual dollar amount or goal is, then why would we save money? Why wouldn't we spend money on the things that make us feel good right now?
Right now.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't we? That just makes sense. Where there's no vision, people cast off restraint.
Yeah.
They cast off the saying, well, I'm not going to put it there because I'm going to save this because I'm going there. If you don't know that where I'm going part, it makes sense why people have spending problems. So they say, I really think it's a vision problem. That's actually
Well, it's funny you say that, man. Like as you're going through it, I know we talked it offline, but like even now, when I can replace the word restraint with discipline, right? In this context. So where there's a lack of vision, there's a lack of discipline. When there's no vision, there's discipline. And people keep constantly talking about, I don't have discipline. I wish I had more discipline. And just to know, I mean, like, this is encouraging. Like, I'm getting like really excited. Like, it don't show it on my face, but I'm getting really excited because to solve my discipline problem, right? Like a big component to solving my discipline problem is that I need to just dream big enough, have something that I can get excited about. Oh, come on, man.
You're hitting.
Come on, I'm preaching now. Hey, we might be recording this on a Sunday. I might get an amen up in here, right? Like, but I'm joking, but like, think about that. Your discipline problem is tied to the inability to just dream beautifully for yourself.
Huge. It's huge.
Come on, man.
It's huge.
Like, come on, bro.
Let me give you one quick point.
Yes, please.
I watched a video of Will Smith. I don't know where it is. Maybe we can link it up here in the show notes. There's a quick video of him talking in the car and talking about how crazy it is that people stop dreaming in their head. It's like, this isn't even real. If you can't get your head to see craziness, just the biggest thing, if you can't dream in your head and it's not even real, we have a real problem, right? Like, it's not even real. It's just like, you can't. And it's so funny. People always say like, oh, I don't think that far ahead. Why not?
Yeah, like, I don't want to. All I care about is today. And I'm like, it's in your head. It's not real.
Exactly.
Like, it's not, like, it's not. So we're going to get to this. Well, let's do it now. Why, Chris? Because now we're into it, right? Why? Why are people afraid to lose themselves in their dream, just in their head?
Kind of a loaded question, but
it is a loaded question. That's why we're on the podcast talking about it.
in my experience with talking to people, and what I think is at a certain point in life, I think it happens earlier rather than later. Our lives get shrunken down to what is realistic. I think this happens at a very young age when kids are going through this place, because if you think about it, every child under the age of 6 has the wildest imagination.
Oh my God, everything is possible.
Everything. They don't even know that they can't be a unicorn. Like, they think they can be a unicorn. They think they can fly. Like, everything is possible. Then as we get older, environment, parents, school, authorities, they start telling us, this is where you should be.
Yeah.
This is what's possible for you. This is what we think is good for you. And then our brains go to work not thinking about how big it could be, the possibilities, because we're being told and molded into who we think we should be, right? Or who society tells us to be. So then at a very young age, we stop learning how to dream.
Yeah.
That's really what I think it is, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure as we get older, there's some fear things that start to come into play.
Yes. Yeah.
After that, but I really think this starts super, super young, of like, we just tell kids what they're supposed to be and not supposed to be, what they can have and what they shouldn't have. And that stops them from dreaming.
Well, that's excellent. And I'm going to add to that, and you kind of mentioned on the back end, I also think that while, let's say you have that kid, right, myself, that busts through, I don't care what you say, right? I can still do it. Life will beat you down into suppression of, you know what, maybe they was right. I went out here. I think about the prodigal son, right? Like now we like really talk scripture, right? Right? Like, no, give me mine now. Right. And you go out and life beats you down. You don't have the right behaviors. You don't know how to have, you don't have the right mindset to go attack what it is. And then you don't learn how to process losing. Like I had a major problem with this, something I still struggle with today at times. I didn't know how to process losing. I looked at losing as an end all be all. Like, and I'm going to get real vulnerable here to the point of if we were in a really close like friendship and you did something that really scarred me, like really like hurt me, right? For you, the friendship would seem the same because I would still help and be supporters and everything else. However, internally, I'm like, we'll never be the same again. We'll never be the same again. Why? Because I had this vision of what a friendship should be, and then you just ruined it. And I didn't know how to process what I didn't realize that you weren't going to always meet expectations. Yeah. And so now I suppress what I believe the level of friendship should go. Mm-hmm. I stopped dreaming about how a friendship only going to go here or a relationship's only going to go here because I just saw it go there. I had these expectations that were here, but it ended here. So that's as max it's going to go. But I'm going to live down here because you're not going to hurt my feelings again. Right. I'm not going to let you hurt my feelings again. And this is what happens. People have these dreams and they run into roadblocks and they don't know how to process how to deal with them because so many other people did the same thing and they failed. And then they come back with that failure mindset. And I'm using the word failure, meaning I quit. Right. Failure is when you quit, in my opinion. Like that's my perspective. When you quit, not when you like you miss it, like that you just learn. But if you hit it and you come back and you go tell everybody, hey, don't go this way, it's terrible. This don't work. This not possible. There's no way. Then they go out there, they be like, man, confirmation bias. Look what I found. And all you gotta do is Google. Look, I can Google anything and figure out whatever I want. Me and Chris had this fun conversation a couple weeks ago. Is the vaccine good? Blah. Is the vaccine bad? Blah. Like we can figure out whatever. We can get confirmation bias wherever we want. And I think people, on top of not being able to process, like you talked about, first off, and then not being able to process when I do run into these massive roadblocks, what to do. Yep. And there's not enough examples around of people how they got through it. And
all of it, T, like I agree 1,000%. I think all of it though does come back to the perspective you have in your mind or you're given about what failure even is and what success even is, right? Yeah. You said something in the midst of that where, when we go off and then we hit those roadblocks, that doubt creeps in that like maybe mom was right. Maybe dad was right. Maybe cousin was right because that was planted. Now imagine that thought was never planted. Imagine
you wouldn't know no different. You would have said, let me figure it out.
You would reframe and have a different perspective on what failure is, right? I think of the story of Sarah Blakely. Sarah Blakely is the lady that created Spanx, right?
Oh, yeah.
Billionaire. She was like billionaire hit when she hit 30 or whatever the case is, because she created this product that every woman basically loved and needed.
On accident.
Right? Exactly. Right? Like just on some, I need this and it makes sense to me. So let's go make it happen. So either way, billionaire. But she said, I watched an interview, I think it might have been her and Oprah, I'm not quite sure. But either way, I saw something where she said one of the things that happened when she was growing up with her and her brother, she was like, her dad they would eat dinner together. And her dad, when they would come home from school, he would ask like, hey, how was your day today? And when they would say things about the good things that they did, oh, I got an A, or oh, this happened, he wouldn't care. He would just be like, okay, cool. And then got to a place where he's like, what did you fail at today? And they'd struggle to explain where they failed as a child, like coming home from school, like, what'd you fail at? And they wouldn't know. And then eventually it got to the place where they were like, yeah, I tried this thing and it didn't go the way that I wanted it to. And this kid laughed at me and da-da-da. And he would be like, that's awesome. Keep pushing through. You're such like, he would give them the perspective that failure is actually the good thing, because he knew in life, right, that failure is a good thing. It leads you to the success.
Yeah.
That was imprinted in Sarah Blakely's mind. Hence why she can go off and build a company and not have those doubts that a normal parent would have given as to like,
I was about to say,
let's only applaud when you get an A, and let's talk bad about you when you get an F and say you're not doing something. He flipped that model and was like, tell me when you mess up. Like, tell me when you're failing at school. Like, that's the best part, because now we can learn, we can grow from it.
Yeah.
She got that as a child.
Yeah.
So then when you go off and you're living this entrepreneur life and you're failing, and you listen to her story, she's working 7 years. She did door-to-door sales, right? As a woman, door-to-door sales.
That's not easy.
Not at all. And she did it for like 7 years, right? Like once she got into, what was it? Saks or Neiman or whatever the first store was that she got into, she went to all of the stores and worked all the stores. She had this perseverance. It came from the perspective her dad gave her. That's actually where it came from. And I think that's such an important thing to understand, is when we do get to that place where we're trying to break through and break out, we have that little voice from childhood that says, no, you'll only be successful if you get an education. What are you talking about? No, you'll only be successful if you go this direction. And we think about that. So imagine if we didn't have that. Imagine if we didn't have it.
Look, I did not have that at home. To that, like, I saw it in my dad's ability, right? So my dad, if you know, for the new listeners, my dad, you know, raised me by himself in a wheelchair. When I say by himself, my mom, like most people, most people talk about how their dad leaves and their mom stays. Well, my mom left. She actually got strung out on drugs. And so she literally like left, and it was just me and my dad, and he was a paraplegic in a wheelchair. And so he took care of me. And my dad had a couple sayings, and he couldn't go past what he knew. My dad knew how to survive as a disabled person and position life as if he was just a normal guy walking. Like, that was his thing. You can kind of tell, right? Like, he drove his own car. He's always bathed himself. He took care of a kid. He cooked his own stuff, like no support whatsoever in that capacity during like my early years. But he always used to say to me, Terell, if I can do this in a wheelchair, you better be able to take care of your family standing on 2 feet, right? Like, that was always his saying, right? And but that was like the cap. Like, now that I look at things, like, and that was a great foundation for how to survive crisis. And that's what most of our parents and just the world, we know how to survive crisis. I went in a wheelchair and it looked like I was going to be dependent on somebody else, and I got myself to standard, right? Like, let's call it standard. But then, like, when it came down to going past that, like, my dad didn't have it, right? And because my dad never got it, but he was far from where he was. And that was the thing. And so when I look at life now, I'm like, okay, what was my dad really trying to say, right? And then I was lucky enough to start going to church young, right? And this was outside of my dad. My dad didn't go. He let me go. He's like, you can go to church, man. I'm good. Tell me. We come back to what the preacher said, right? Right? But there was a scripture that I tied to something I saw with my dad, which is, I could do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. And now, so for many of you may not believe in Christ and all that other stuff. That's cool. But this was my foundational principle. I saw my dad do something people said he couldn't do, and he did. And then I tied it to, I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. So literally all things, I took it literally, all. So as I started going through life, I naturally had this optimism that people used to be like, why are you so optimistic? Why are you always so optimistic? Because I was like, I watched a paraplegic man raise me in a wheelchair, and he told me I got 2 feet, so I should do more than him. And then I got this scripture that says I can do all things. So I don't know. But then there came a point, Chris, where that all got challenged. There came a point in my life when I had the family, had the wife, had the kids, had the career job, had it all. And it literally was like, is that true? Is this true? And my vision got hazy. The vision got real hazy. And guess what happened? All discipline started coming off. Mm-hmm. All them restraints that I had that kept me focused, that kept me laser locked in, started coming off because life started coming in. And I started questioning, man, well, I'm already better than my dad. Like, you know, like in that sense, like he already got me to this point where I'm living better. He's already congratulated me before he died. So I'm already like better. I'm already better off.
Right.
And then this all thing, what does that really mean? Then I started looking at my age group. I'm like, well, I'm making, you know, more money than 70% of the people that I'm their age. I'm a boss of a job. You know what I mean? And I got a little side hustle business. I was like, and it started getting real hazy, and the impossible started becoming impossible. And this is what happens. My spending habits, my family spending habits. I told Chris offline, we get like $20,000 bonus or whatever. And then it'd be like a couple months later, gone. Gone. And then we look back and be like, what happened to the money? And I was like, man, we ate that money, man. We traveled that money, man. We had fun, because what we started doing was, you know what? I just need something right now. Life has been so rough. We've been going through so much. We've been struggling through so much. We deserve this, man. We deserve to go on this vacation. We deserve to do this. We need to chill. We gonna get Netflix. We gonna get Hulu. We gonna get Disney. We gonna get HBO Max. We gonna get this. I'm gonna live my life like I'm on vacation, like my background show every single day. I'm gonna spend the money, make the money, spend the money, make the money. I'm Floyd Mayweather up in here. And that's how we live for years. And it came because my vision got cloudy because life got hard.
Right. That's right.
And I'm just sharing this for somebody else that's out there. Like, we didn't talk about going down this deep, but I want to let people know, when your vision is cloudy, the discipline comes off. Chris, I've been losing 30 pounds. I've been losing 30 pounds for about 7 years, bro. All right. I just want you to know it's been 30 pounds for 7 years. Right. And I give you this. I wrote this, I sent the text. So I was 293, like super vulnerable here. I was 293. That was my highest ever. I'm like, oh my Lord, 293. Good Lord. Right. And then I locked in, I got focused. I got down to 284. Then I was feeling good. But then I say the 284, it was like a flat line for about a couple of years. I maybe trickled down to 280, back up. Then I was like, no. And I got down again to 270. And then it's like months, over the last like months. And I'm like, man, I lost my 23 pounds. And I'm just running on that. I just lost my 23 pounds. But my goal is 226.
Right.
Like, that's my goal. Right. But I'm like, man, I lost 20 pounds. I don't know what you're talking about. But it ain't my goal. Right. Because guess what happened? It started getting very hard to understand how to lose the weight. It started getting very hard because I couldn't figure out like what's triggering it, right? I wanted to have my cake and eat it too, literally, right? Like, literally. And then I saw myself go up to 278 6 days ago now. And I went back up to 278 and I was like, oh my God, I can't get back to 280. I'm gonna be so depressed. I'm gonna be so sad. And I was like going through this trauma. And it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and I started texting my wife. And I started writing out a plan. And I mean, I'm talking about like one of them texts, like somebody's like, good, for real, bro? You really gonna text me like this? And I started writing out a plan. I said, this is where I'm at. This is my goal. These are the areas that I need to focus on. I simplified it to 4 key areas, which is exercise, water intake, eating, and sleep. I said, this is where I rank right now. This is where I want to go. And I went through the who, what, when, where, why process. I answered all the questions. Then I said, what's the plan? That's cool. What's the plan? I put a plan in place. Chris, was 278. I get on this call this morning. In 5 days, I'm 265.
There you go.
I lost 13 pounds in 5 days when it took me years to lose 10 pounds at a time to this point. Why? I found a vision for my health. And it wasn't just the number. The number just is it's just a representation of like something objective. Yeah. I found a vision for what I wanted with my health. Yeah. And I lost 13 pounds in 5 days. Yeah. And guess what? That eating, I have not eaten sugar, refined sugar, cut it out. I've been drinking at least 7, 8, 9 glasses of water a day. Right? I have a plan for that. I've been getting I only need 6 hours of sleep. That's my sleep number, 6 hours of sleep. I mean, no sugar, refined sugar, no gluten, and super low carbs, and what's the other one? And no dairy. And now these things were almost like impossible to stop when I didn't have a vision.
Right.
I couldn't stop eating this stuff, no matter how hard I tried. When I did, 13 pounds in 5 days, bro. Today is day 6. And I'm like, holy crap, I got a vision.
All it is.
My wife looks at me like, she's like, how you gonna stop eating all that just in the middle of the night? I said, because I got tired of where I was and I got a vision for where I'm gonna go. And that's what happens. People are tired of where they are, but they don't have a vision of where they're gonna go. So they stay right where they are. So I said a lot. I apologize. You know, I took a lot of time, but I really felt led to share this for other people that are probably struggling. Yeah, I know you're tired, but if you don't get a vision, you're gonna stay right in that tired space. And I've been there for years, and I gotta go. So I just put it on record. So when this come out, 265, my goal is 226. And now let's see how I do, you know, over the next, you know, several months or so. So I'll pause there.
You said so much that all of it makes sense too, and all of it's personal to you. Like
very personal.
How this stuff plays out, right? Again, when we jump on here and start talking about things that might seem higher level, right? Have a vision, like, all right, cool. Like, what do you think? No. Like, you don't understand how this will actually impact your life.
Yeah.
And most importantly, that vision is more about the why, like the why and the what, right? Those two, probably. The why and the what. Like, what are you trying to get to? But why are you trying to get there?
Yes.
Right? When I went on this health journey, right? And since we're going to talk health, because this is every area of your life. One of the things that could be, we had him on, he's my health coach. One of the things that he said that, like, he asked me up front was like, what are you doing this for? Like, what are you doing this for? And I was like, he's like, what are you trying to see? Like, is there something that you're trying to get to long term? Like, what is this? And I was like, 2 things. I want to be able to play basketball forever. Like, I want to be the 75-year-old on the court that still runs. Yeah. We know that guy, right? We've been in the gym.
Oh yeah, I've seen that guy.
We've been in the gym with that guy, right?
Yeah.
He's 75, still in great shape, still can jump, still can shoot, right? He might not be as agile, but he's there. He's competing. I want to be that guy. And then secondly, I said something like, I want to always be able to carry my wife, right? Like, carry her, like, pick her up and like hold it, right? I always want to be able to do that. And those were the 2 things. That was actually the vision. That's the vision. It still is the vision.
Yeah.
So that vision has nothing necessarily to specifically do with weight, like on your side, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it has everything to do with weight and vitality and my joints and my knees and all, like, all those things. But that's the vision that I'm headed towards. That's why I'm focused on just doing the right things throughout the weeks, throughout the months, but I'm not as day to day, right? I'm not as day to day anymore where it's like, oh, I can't eat this today, I can't eat that tomorrow.
Correct.
Because I'm like, well, in 15 years, I know how this whole thing plays out. You know what I mean? I'm headed in the right direction because that's the vision. And that what and why, like, why do I want those things? What is that going to get to? That's where we have to spend time. And for people that are listening that you might not have a vision for areas of your life, sit down and really think about what it is that you want and why you want that thing.
Yeah.
You know? As I transition into the money side, I often tell people, money is not what you want. Money is actually not the goal. It's what you think money will get you. It's what you think money will bring you. If you think that money leads to peace because you want to be comfortable and you don't want to think about financial stresses, then you want money to bring peace, right? We know what really brings peace, but this is right. This is what right. Yeah. But at the end of the day, that's what you think that money is for. If you think, right, you want money because you can buy the car and have the clothes, you probably are looking at significance. You want people to see you as such, as something. That's why you want the money, but you don't really want the money. You want that thing. So if you start getting down to why you want what you want, right? Why you want these things and what that looks like for you, it's really going to help you then, like T said, have some disciplines in your life. Cast off, right? Like restrain yourself in certain areas when you know what you're trying to get to. If you don't know where you're trying to go in your health, in your finances, in your relationship, right? That's another one.
Yeah.
Big one.
That's
right?
a big one.
That's a big one. And it's a leader. It again, when I coach and counsel and try to help people down this path, I often say this to married couples: what's your shared vision?
Yeah.
Like, where do you guys want to be? Do you have a shared vision? Because typically, right, if we don't have a shared vision in our relationship,
we're not going to the same place. Nope.
Okay.
We have different actions. That's like me and you say we got a shared vision of being a professional athlete. And you start training for football and I start training for boxing.
Exactly.
and we're like, bro, why can't we seem to work well together?
Exactly.
I'm trying to punch people in the face. You trying to tackle people or catch a ball or throw a ball.
Exactly. And that shows up in relationships, specifically
Absolutely.
in marriages, right? Like,
shows up in your spending.
That's right.
Spending habits.
Spending habits, the whole nine. That's why it's not a. I think the thing I want to get through to people that are listening is, don't focus on the problem so much. If you think you have a problem in an area, you think you have a problem with eating, you think you have a problem with your spending, you think you have a problem, what's the vision? Let's start there, right?
Yeah.
We'll come back to that, because if you don't have the vision, it's why it's tough to get the disciplines in the area that you want. If that vision is strong enough and it's pulling you, it's going to cause you to do all the things that you want to do, because your vision is important to you, right?
Yes.
And it takes time to get a vision, ladies and gentlemen, right? Trust me, it doesn't just come in overnight. But the more you think on these things, the more you think on the vision, the more you're actually spending time with yourself to be like, what do I want out of my money? What do I want out of this relationship? Like, what do we want to see in my spiritual life? Like, how do I want to operate? And you ask yourself these questions over and over and over again. Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Question, a statement closes the mind, a question opens the mind.
Yep.
A statement closes the mind, a question opens the mind. When you say, I have a spending problem, I like food, I eat this, right?
Oh my God. When you shut yourself down.
Shut it down. It closes the mind. It closes the mind. But if you say, how can I afford this? How could I get to that lifestyle of, how could I be that way? When that happens, your brain has to go to work finding the answer for you.
Yes.
It's all in the language, but that's how you get a vision.
Yeah, that was what I did with this last 5, and it's only 5 days, but like, and I'm like, we were out last night having dinner at one of our favorite restaurants, and I was struggling.
Which is, what's the restaurant?
Well, I won't say it's a favorite. It's one of our favorite, like, we just didn't quickly go to. It's Red Lobster, right? Like, we like, because I used to work there, so it's like kind of nostalgic.
That's nostalgia. That's what
that's nostalgia. Like, smell the biscuits. Right. And so I'm here, and I'm like, she's like, why are you looking at all the stuff on the menu? I said, because I want everything on this menu. and I thought, and there was a moment where I was like, you know what? I already lost 12, 13. I was like, come on, man, it's celebration time. And then I said to my wife, and she was like, I don't know how you do it. I said, let's think about this. I said, one day I envision myself being a billionaire, right? And I don't say I want to be a billionaire just so people can be like, I'm on the billionaire list. No, this is real talk. When I think about being a billionaire, I actually think about how much money I can give away.
That's right.
I know it's just, you're probably saying I'm awful, but if you talk to anybody that I've ever mentioned this to, the first thing that comes to mind before I buy a house or anything is, how much can I give away? Or who can I really help with? Now I got this, man, like I got this money. How can I help somebody? It's the first thing I think about, like,
by the way, like, that's a secret to success. I just talked about it on one of my morning mindset calls. I literally said, right, the secret to success is in giving. If you can understand that you're here to give out of your abundance, you're here to give to other people and get them right, then that gets you in the right mindset to attract what you need, the resources you need to be able to give it away. So 1,000%, that's actually the key.
Right. And so, and there's layers to that, right? Like, because some people like to give out of abundance, and then even when you short, can you still give out of it? Like, that's a whole other conversation.
That's true. But right. Yeah.
So I said to my wife, I said, look, how could I become a billionaire? The amount of discipline it takes to build something, solve a problem, help a certain number of people. Hell, help one person. Maybe you help Elon Musk. He's like, man, you help me so much, here goes $1 billion. How can I position? I'm just using all these different ways you can get $1 billion. I said, if I can't say no to sugar, gluten, and dairy for 10 days, how do I even expect to be able to say I will ever have the discipline to be a billionaire?
That's right.
I said, she looked at me. I said, that's proven to myself. I said, it's the same ingredients. I have a vision. I made a commitment to something and I'm going to stick to it until it's over. So I can sit here, I can smell your Cheddar Bay biscuits, and I can sit here, I can watch you dip that beautiful crab meat in that butter, and I can sit here and eat my salmon, because I'm proving to myself, if I can't do 10 days, how am I going to stick to something for 30 years?
Right. That's right. People don't understand.
And this real talk.
Yeah, people don't understand that discipline. Like, and again, being in the financial space, I hear it all the time. I want to be a millionaire. I want to be financially.
But you got to have a vision. Even for 10 days, I had to have a vision, Chris.
Yep.
Even for the 10-day run.
Yep.
I couldn't haphazardly. I would have quit last night.
Right.
Them biscuits were smelling delicious. Right? Everything was good. Like, I wanted a drink with a bunch of stuff in it. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
I had to have a vision for 10 days. And all it is just the ingredients. It's the same ingredients. Like, you're a chef, right? You and my wife are chefs. When you got a mac and cheese recipe, right? And you want to feed just you, your wife, and your daughter, you use your recipe. But Chris, let's say you want to feed 100 people. Do you change your recipe?
You just add, you double up the volume, right?
There you go. But the recipe is still the same.
Is the same, yeah.
You just add new quantities because
right.
You got to feed more people. That's what I was saying to my wife. The recipe for me getting through these 10 days is the same recipe to get to a billionaire status. I'm just using it on a smaller scale to learn how to do it. If I can make grandmama's mac and cheese, then I can feed everybody with grandmama's mac and cheese. I just need to increase the quantity for how many people I'm going to feed now.
Right.
And that's where people get lost. They think it's a different skill set, but it's really not. It's really the same stuff. You just got to learn. That's why here goes the Bible again. It talks about, don't despise the days of small things, because it's in those little small micro wins that you learn the recipe. You talked about it. She was talking about failing in school on a grade about something nobody even cares about on a report card anymore.
Exactly.
And she used that to start $1 billion company, to launch $1 billion company. She used the same ingredients. She didn't say I learned something new. I went to Harvard and Harvard taught me this new strategy. No, not at all.
You're hitting the nail on the head, man. I'm trying to give a different perspective. It's the same.
This is one of those episodes where
these are success principles. These are principles. These are laws. These are things that you've got to follow, right? Again, scripture, since we're here, we're here this morning, right?
Yes.
He says, if you're faithful over few, right, he'll make you ruler over many, right? Faithful over few means with the little that you have, with what you have already, are you doing the right things? Are you becoming a better steward of all of the things that he's already given you, even if you don't think it's a lot, even if you don't think it's much? Because what that does is learning how to treat the small, the few, the little, the 10 days, the sugar, right? The small, when you learn how to do that, he can make you ruler over more things. That means you have more capacity to do bigger things, become a billionaire, become influential, right? It's the same ingredients, just like you said, it's the same stuff. And that's the message. I try to get this to people. I know you talk to people about, but just start now where you are building good habits, good things that are going to translate into the place you want to go. You've got to know where you want to go, though.
Yes.
You got to know where you want to go. It's the only way then to start creating the right habits inside of you to get there, right? It's a backwards process that I think most people in society think, let me just start trying to do things now.
And wherever I end up, I hope I end up there.
Yeah.
And hope is not a strategy, y'all.
Hope is not a strategy, and you won't end up anywhere because we're drifters. This world is leading us to be more distracted. The enemies comes to distract us, right? So you won't get, if you know, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything type of thing. Right? Like if you don't know exactly what it is, you'll go this way, and then 3 years later you'll go this way, and then 4 years later you'll go this way, and then 2 years later you go this way, and every time you're just going back and forth, and you pick your head up and you're 60 and you're like, what did I do? Like, how did this happen? It's because there was no vision. There was no vision. Now
I will say, and so perspective, right? And because if you've been following the podcast, you know me and Chris talk about testing. And so we're not talking about not trying new things and reinventing yourself. Not at all. What we're saying is it should be purposeful to identify what it is you actually want to do. Right. Like, and not just maybe want to do, like, because there's going to be different periods of your life. Like lifestyle. You can have a vision for like, like right now, me, you know, we're like, all right, you know what? We do want to get this house and have some space and spread out a little bit. Now we're like, okay, now do we want to buy a house? But we have a vision about ownership, right? Like, do we want to buy a liability, or do we want to buy an asset, right? Like, so there's different conversations. Or do we just want to rent a house and get this feeling what we want? Because we know our bigger vision is when we buy something, we want to buy assets, not liabilities, right? So that even changes. Like right now, we want the house feeling, but why go take on $400,000 for a house feeling? Right. You can go rent a house. Right. Okay, I paid $300 more.
I do like all the time.
Right. But why go pay $300? Like some people are like, oh, well, you're paying $300 more than if you owned it. Yeah. Okay, but I also don't have a liability. You're making somebody else rich. Okay, so for the year, I made them an extra $300.
Exactly.
Yeah, I made them $3,600.
That comes back to this vision. We could stay here forever.
This is why I'm saying this. But you gotta have a vision, because people will. Chris, I'm giving that example because Chris talked about how life will come in and start making you drift. Me and my wife, our first asset, like from that perspective, from a home, we want to buy at least a duplex or a triplex, because we want to own an asset, something that produces revenue, not something that takes it out. Now, we'll ultimately have one, but we want our asset to buy where we live and enjoy that house, if you will. And that's going to take time. That means we may have to wait 3 to 4 to 5 years after buying our duplex or triplex or quad before we go get that home. Then we could just take the equity out of one, buy a house, and then we don't owe anything on the house. Our kids can live there forever, but we still got this asset of people renting that pay it until they're ready to go do their thing. But society will say, oh no, go buy that. And you have to stick true to your vision, because while we want the house feel now, we just go rent a house. Okay, pay extra little bit of money, so rent a house.
Most people don't have the vision to know that they will be wealthy. The reason why I have no problem renting, is because I will be wealthy. Like,
so you can buy whatever you want, or you can rent forever. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Like none of it matters. But like that's the vision we have. Most people don't have the vision, so they think I got to get this now, because if I don't, I won't have it. I won't make it.
Yeah.
Like no, I can rent forever as long as I want to, because I have assets. I'll have assets in other things, of course, right? Like our philosophy just on the real estate side, the home that we're gonna own is going to be the home we build. I don't believe that I want to put money down on a house that's less than perfect. I don't want to go 300,000 in debt on a house that's less than perfect. Like, and not perfect by what's the standard of the market.
But for you.
But for me, perfect. For me and my family, right? Yeah. For us, it's not about house size. It's about land size. We prefer more outdoor space than indoor space. Like these are things we already know. So when we're just shopping around looking at prefabbed homes and homes that other people have or have lived in, it's not perfect for us. So why would I go into debt on something that's not perfect for me? That doesn't even make sense. Like, but again, we get wrapped up in you're paying somebody else, you're making somebody else rich. You got to own. I own my business and I own my life. So I don't need to own a house. Like, you know
I own my business, I own my life. I love it.
For real. Like that's where people, it's not their vision. They don't know, they don't understand that like the thing that they're just trying to own, if they had a vision of actually where they want to be in it's not based around a property, a house, a thing, right? It's your life. It's your lifestyle. It's where you see, how do you see your children growing up? What type of impact, like that becomes what pulls your vision.
Yeah.
Otherwise you get sucked into being a consumer and just, oh, I got to have this and I got to have this.
Because everybody else said it. And some people, this might be their vision of like, nobody ever owned anything. So I got my house and you know, and I'm happy to pay my mortgage. Okay. All we're saying is you got to have a vision and work through your vision. And I will say, when your vision gets cloudy, I say, take a pause, vacation. When I say vacation, I don't necessarily mean go spend money. I mean, like, sometimes you can just pause. It's more important to get clear than to keep trying to grind it out in clouds. Because you'll come out that cloud and you might be off. Like me and my CEO, we were taking a road trip, you know, for a business meeting. And we were just talking, and it was like a split, like in the DMV area where you can like get back to where we were, but you can go one or two ways, and one way was shorter than the other, kind of goes around, like coming up from Virginia. And we totally missed it. And we were like on the other side of water, like we were still on land, obviously. And he was like, yeah, sorry, man, I just added another hour and a half to the drive because I missed my turn, right? And we were distracted. And so sometimes we get distracted and we can still get there. But if we had been paying attention and looking at it and kind of at these pivotal points and knowing and taking a pause from the conversation, we would have actually got to back home an hour and a half sooner, right? And this is what happens in life. Doesn't mean you're not going to get there, but if you don't take those moments to decompress, pressure release valve, we talked about that before with therapy, whatever that means, getting clear again, you can end up just trying to grind it out. And it might not be grind time. It might be clarity time. And you got to be able to distinguish between the two. Is it grind time or is it clarity time? And you got to have moments of breaks in between. That's where I got lost. It was grind, 12 to 16 hours a day at the job. When I wasn't on the job, working on my little business stuff on the side. And you know, and I'm not disrespecting myself. It, like, to me, it's small, boutique. Like, it was just little, you know, like it was little to me, right? For where I'm going, it was little, right? And so, and it was always something going on. And I got so unclear. Then I look up and I'm like, I'm nowhere near where I wanted to be. I mean, yeah, I wanted to go north, but I want to go like direct north. I'm like northwest right now. Like, you know, I need to come back over. I need to go north. Now I need to come back over. So
just as you said that, bro, like I got the analogy I give to entrepreneurs a bunch of the E-Myth, right? The three-headed monster.
Yes.
The entrepreneur. So in the book, the E-Myth, it talks about this three-headed monster that's needed in order to build a business, right? To be an entrepreneur. You need the entrepreneur, you need the manager, you need the technician, right? And just as you were explaining that, it all clicked. Like, man, in our lives, in our actual lives, most of us are the technician. We just do the work. We just grind and do the work. But who's the entrepreneur? Who sees up ahead? Who has the vision? Who's the one that sees the iceberg and has to turn the ship? Who's the one that says, hey, we got to go this way because we see that storm come? Like, who's that person? And then who's the manager? Who's the person that organizes it and makes sure
puts the processes in place?
Everything in place, right? Oftentimes, both people, whether you're in a relationship or just living your life, you're just the technician. You're just doing, and you actually need those other two pieces in your life. You need the entrepreneur. You need the person that has a vision. If it's not you, somebody's got to have a vision. That's what's funny about it, right? Either you'll have your own vision or somebody else will employ you for their vision.
And
right?
sometimes that might be your spouse, and God bless you. If you got a spouse that could be a good visionary and you're good with the management and processes and some of the technician stuff,
that's how you're
a team.
That's it. That's the game. That's what it should be. That we talked about it a bit earlier. Shared vision. Vision. If one person has a vision, can you bring the other person into that vision, and can you lock in just on that vision? Great. Once we have that, then somebody's a technician, somebody's the manager overseeing that and making sure that the kids are good, that dinner gets cooked, that bank account,
everything else is still rolling.
Bills are paid, right? You know what I mean? Like they still got to make sure all that stuff's good, but we know, all right, we're going there, we're headed there, and that's how you work as a team. That's how you work in your life. I think that parallels really well. When you said that, that was like one of the first times I
we'll do that. We'll do that on the next one. we'll piggyback on, we'll deep dive in how we do that in a relationship. How about that?
That works. That works. You guys are going to get a part 2 on this. You guys are going to get a part two or a continued, so to speak, right? We're going to dive into that relationship side the next time we jump on next week. You guys will get this from us. So, man, this was a good one though, right? And I think just understanding the thesis of what we're telling you and trying to share with you from our perspective is you've got to have a vision in every area of your life. Spend time thinking about what you want, why you want that thing, and let that thing pull you so that then you have disciplines, you have things that you can do on a daily basis that are helping you get towards that thing. If you don't have that vision, if it's not clear, if it's just, I want to be healthy, okay, great. If I want to be wealthy, okay, great. But if it's not clear on how much or why you want to get there or what that's going to do for your life, you'll cast off restraint. You'll cast off restraint. And you shouldn't judge yourself. You shouldn't, right? You should have some grace with yourself and to know that it's not your fault. You just have to develop a vision. Yeah. And then you'll correct all of the behaviors that you might not be so happy with right now.
Questions, open up the mind, statements, close it. My wife texted me yesterday and she made statement. And then she was like, why didn't you respond? I said, what is there to respond to? You didn't ask me a question. You just made statements. Okay, here goes my response. Okay, right?
I give the thumbs up emoji when people say that.
I mean, okay, cool. I got you. Yeah, if I disagree, I'll say something. And I was being facetious with her, but it leads into what we're talking about. And this is my closing thought. If you're struggling with the vision, just ask yourself a bunch of questions. Chris gave it to you. Why? I like to do the five W's, like, the why, what, when, where, when. I did that already. Who and how.
Who and how.
Who and how, right? And then, the 5 W's with the H, right? Like that helps open up. And then if you can only get to a year, if you only can get to 10 days, start there. And I promise you, as you go through this process, it'll start to, what about? And then once you get to that, what about? Now you're starting to open up. Now you're starting to grow. So that's the how, and we were talking about it. And the thought that your discipline problem is directly tied to the lack of vision in your life. That makes me feel so much better as a person, and I hope it does for you. When I realized that my discipline problem, this thing I can't seem to get past myself, is mainly tied to the imagination, my ability to be able to think outside of reality. Man, come on, man.
Game changer.
This game changer. This is why I ride to work sometimes in the morning, 45 minutes with no music, no nothing on, and I can get literally lost in thought. And I'm enjoying that more than any book, anything else. Why? Because I'm just creating new possibilities on the way. So if you should try it, some people are like, I gotta have my music. Shut the music off and just let your mind dream for a little bit. Just let it dream. Dream for work. Just dream for the day of work. That's how I started it, and my days got better. So that's my final thought on that.
We're probably gonna touch on that next week. But eliminating distraction is going to be a huge catalyst in you building a vision.
Yeah.
Too many of us are distracted. We're on the phone, we're in the feed, we're taking in too much information.
Yeah.
Shut it all off. And then you'll sit with your thoughts.
Even good stuff, even books. Like I book. And I'm like, sometimes you got to get quiet.
You just got to shut it out and let yourself sit with yourself to really think.
Yeah.
I don't think many people give themselves the opportunity to do that. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it next week. We'll dive in.
Because it's a part of marriage. It's part of relationship. If you don't sit with yourself, you're going to have some problems. We laughing hard.
I know, right?
Y'all don't even understand how we about to unload that. We might have to get permission slips from our wives for next week's
right?
episode.
You might be like, hey, you might not want to listen to this one.
Yeah, we're going to skip this one. So now that we've teased you about what we're going to talk about next week, this is good, man. Chris, this is good. Yeah. I hope everybody got something from it. Like guys, and I hate saying guys, like just guys, like everyone, ladies and gentlemen, right, of the jury. But no, we appreciate you guys. We appreciate all the texts and the comments and the DMs and stuff like that. Continue to share these videos. Continue to, support the channel, support the podcast. We're going to have it somewhere. We always joke about it. It's kind of like really like always at the top and the bottom. Now we're kind of pretty consistent with that. But we enjoy it, and we do this. Like, this is like a love project, like legit. Like, me and Chris can be doing other things with our mornings at times when we're doing these things, but we really do care. This is like Chris talked about, the key to success is giving. Like, it's not always monetary, right, but it's like, like to finish up with the scripture, silver and gold have I not, but what such I have, I give. This is years of experience, learning, failures that turn into learnings and all these other things that we are literally like, we want to pour out to people. And we're not doing that for claps on the back. We're just doing it for we can help people. And a lot of people we help, we don't even know we helping until months later they come back like, man, I've been listening. I'm like, hey, you never said nothing. Right? But I'm glad it's working. So, we thank you. And we always appreciate you guys. So that's all, that's my final.
Until next week, guys, we're signing off for Perspective Podcast.
Peace. Later.